it out and put in something fresh, something new. All right, let's talk about Blackheart's Bay. This is one of the maps that was largely inspired by the artist. The artist had done a bunch of pirate-themed stuff, a bunch of nautical-themed stuff, and we ended up building a map around all of these ideas. So one of your goals is to find the chests on these maps. They're going to spawn near the lanes. You got to find them and attack them. When you attack them, all these coins, all these cursed doubloons are going to spill out. And you got to go out and hoover those up and collect them. And you got to go find the cursed camps where there's these skeletons on the map. And if you kill them, out pops more candy. You can collect the doubloons coming from these guys. And then when you've got enough of these, you want to deliver these to Blackheart. You want to take them there and drop them off on his chest. Now, one of the things we love about the map is filled with treasure goblins. Of course, the treasure goblins are the other players. You want to find these guys when they're carrying coins, and you want to just kick the tar out of them and take all their money. And so this really changes the way the game plays because, if Sammy suddenly got, 8 gold coins, he's a target. At that point, I might be willing to die to take him to half health. Meanwhile, everybody else is going to gather around Sammy like he's the quarterback.
Thank you.
And try to, it's good job, guys. And try to get him to Blackheart where he can drop off those coins.
I think the thing that was missed there is just the fact when you do kill them, they go flying out all over the place. And so it's a spectacle in and of itself.
There's no pockets in the Nexus.
All right, and then when you collect the coins, Blackheart's Revenge is going to activate. His ghostly ship is going to turn to your side for a very brief but very devastating period of time. He's going to start blasting enemy towns into ruin. So this absolutely changes the way you play the game. Whoever has the coins becomes a target. It doesn't matter who they are. Whoever doesn't have the coins is looking to get coins of their own. And you really need to find these guys, hunt them down, and take them out. All right. This is a crazy one we did pretty recently. This is the Haunted Mines. This is the idea of the map. Yeah, this is nuts.
I love it.
2 weeks before Blizzcon. Yeah, let's get this in.
It may have been a month, but it was
4
really
weeks.
quick.
Come on, Sammy. Jeez.
It was really short. We had this idea of doing a map that had an above ground and below ground, because why not? So we have this mine entrance, and when the mine entrance will open up at a certain point in the game, and then you can go down into the mine, and now you're underground. And now you're in a competitive PvP, PvE dungeon. And there's all of these skeletons down there, and you got to kill these skeletons and collect their skulls. There's also a boss down there. Man, there's a lot of team fights around this boss, I got to tell you. Like if we had a heat map, we would just see thousands and thousands of dead players around this boss because so many of the skulls that you want to collect are inside this boss. And he's pretty hard to fight, so a lot of players will gather on this boss. There's often a big team fight that results. There's all kinds of sneaky shenanigans with players who are on the losing team trying to sneak in a hero to steal the skulls before they get murdered. Absolutely intense moment around this guy. Now, once all the skulls are collected, a grave golem appears for each team. Now, if I've collected 70 skulls, some of you guys have collected 30 skulls, I've got a bigger grave golem. And these grave golems are then going to move across the battlefield, focusing on enemy towns, enemy fortifications, and to smash everything that gets in front of them. And now it's a choice, we got to attack and defend, Do I want to defend my grave golem and then maybe try to attack yours? Am I going to switch? We're going to split the team up. And this is where the teamwork becomes absolutely vital. Communicating with your allies is totally essential to figuring out who's going to go where, what's going to happen, who has the best composition to engage a grave golem, who can deal with certain enemy heroes, and trying to find in just a couple of seconds the right move. And of course, these grave golems can lead to absolute victory. One of the things I sort of missed there as we were going through it was wherever the grave golem dies, that's where it respawns the next time it comes back up. So you need to get on this thing when it appears, and you want to kill it as fast as possible. I think most of our games last about 3 grave golems. There have been some 2, some 4, but you really want to make sure that thing dies as far away from you as humanly possible.
I think the other part of it is the strategy that is there before you even get to them rising in the bases, because you have to make a decision on when you're going to go down. Am I going to stay and push up top? Am I going to send guys down below? How is your team going to work together? And that's that strategic depth, I think, that ultimately you guys are creating on the designs of these battlegrounds.
All right, I got another video I'm going to play for you that's sort of bringing it all together. This is another game that was a replay taken from some games we were just playing in the office. This is just some of the guys that are playing the game to test it. We grabbed this replay. It's not a perfect example of how the game plays by any measure, but to give you some idea of all these objectives kind of come together and how fast-paced the game can really be. All right, so here we got Falstad. It's the flyer there, and this guy can actually fly over high ground. He's got an ability to fly. He's going to move and engage these siege giants. This is a mercenary camp, and once he kills these guys, he'll defeat them, they'll cower before them, and then he captures them, and they will move and attack the enemy on his behalf. So he's flying over high ground there to make sure nobody was coming up behind him. He felt satisfied that he was safe. Now he's going to go down to the low ground, and he's going to finish off these siege giants. They're cowering there, and now he's captured them, and they're going to move. Remember those blue siege giants. They're going to be very important later on. Now, over here on the right-hand side of the map, the red team's got a whole other plan they're going to work out here. They're going against these black knights. This is another group of mercenaries that's absolutely vital to capture, very, very dangerous once they defeat them. Blue team's got the same idea on the other side of the map, but they've got 4 players and a little bit more energy. They're going to quickly power through those black knights and capture them, setting them down the middle lane. Here comes Diablo up for the red team, and they're going to finally, having taken a bit of a beating, capture this camp. Now, we've got siege giants top lane, we've got 2 groups of mercenaries middle lane. See, there's the siege giants. They're pushing forward, attacking and destroying this town. Now, red team's taking a gamble here. They're going for a grave golem. This is a very big mercenary, very difficult to take. If blue was aware of it, they could really ruin their day right now, but blue is clueless. They have no idea. Blue is pushing that middle lane. Red is really trying to fight off and capture this guy, and they've finally done it. They've captured, but oh my goodness, a tribute has spawned. A tribute has spawned from the Raven Lord. If you look at the top of the screen, it's 2-to-1 on tributes right now. If red manages to capture this tribute, they'll get the curse and they'll certainly go on to win this game. Blue has got to block this tribute. Uther's on the capture. Red is being zoned out. They can't close in. Look, red's scattered all over the battlefield. They're not even close. And there, Uther gadgets the tribute, saves his team from certain destruction. Everybody's close together, and they're getting frisky. They want a team fight. Everybody charges into battle. Ultimates are flying off left and right. Red engages poorly. They were streaming into position. Blue gets a bunch of kills, and they're scattering and running away. There's Tyrael in hot pursuit. Huge, huge fight. Blue looked like they were about to get absolutely rolled. They blocked the capture. Now they're going to drop this grave golem, and they are absolutely still in this game. They were in a lot of trouble there for a minute, but they managed to work together as a group. They engaged those mercenary camps more efficiently, and now they're going on together to push this top lane. Whew.
Do you want some
You are
water?
doing awesome, dude. I am not worthy to be up here with you, dude. That's awesome.
Okay.
But
I'm okay. I'm okay. I can go on. All right.
got more.
All right. Now, it kind of looked like, I gotta do that again. All right. It kind of looked like in that video that maybe the game is just about capturing these mercenary camps. Oh, you just capture mercenary camps and cool stuff happens. Let's watch what happens. It's exactly the same game, exactly the same players, a little bit later in the game. We're in a similar position. Blue now wants to capture a grave golem. Look at Tassadar up there on the upper right-hand side of the screen. He's in the bushes. Blue doesn't see him. They have no idea he's there. He's watching everything. Red team sees everything that's going on here. Blue thinks they're totally safe. They're going to try to capture this grave golem. Oh my goodness, here comes Red closing in for the kill. Blue is completely clueless, and there goes the charge. The ultimates are firing off, and they're being absolutely annihilated. Blue team is getting completely wrecked. There's nothing they can do. They're scattering. Red manages to close in here. They've got 1 player left. He ice blocks, but it's not enough. Red steals the grave golem, snakes it away from Blue, and that's it. This is the game-winning move at this point. Red is going to go on to victory. They're going to follow that grave golem, ride him like a pony all the way into the enemy town, and wipe out the opposition. So you got to be careful when you do this. You can't just grab these things whenever you want. You got to know when. You got to know what's going on. You got to have map awareness of what's happening in the game. Whew. Okay.
good job, Dawson.
Man, we got to shoutcast this tomorrow. I may die. I don't know how many of those I could do.
What was that middle part, real quick?
Can we go back? I have no idea. All right. So this is Heroes of the Storm in a nutshell. It's Blizzard Heroes. It's playing with your buddies. It's trying to use these battlegrounds to create environments that will challenge you as players and allow us to add more and more content to this game for many years to come. Now, before we go, we've got a final video that we think sort of captures the essence and sort of the humor and the fun of Heroes of the Storm in the Nexus. I know you worked pretty hard getting this in.
Well, this is a good buddy of ours, a guy named John Burton from Carbot. So let's take a quick look.
Faithless coward.
Queen.
I hear the wilds call. Tremble before me.
Sheer genius. John Burton. Amazing.
All right, everybody, that's our presentation for today, and we are absolutely ready to take any questions you guys want to give us. You have to line up for the questions and have a mic and all that. But.
Guess we got to make skins of those now, right? Who says we haven't already? Because we can.
Okay, you ready for the first question? Hello?
Okay, so unlike other Dota-likes, there's no farming in this game. It's based mostly on team fights, clashes, and capturing objectives. With team-wide experience, what are you doing to prevent snowballing so 1, 2, or 3 good team fights can't win you the game?
Well, one of the things we're doing, obviously, is with team levels. It really allows players to equalize the battlefield. You can actually farm a little bit if you can hide away from the enemy team and collect a bunch of experience. Once the team fight starts to happen, right, the teams tend to cluster up and get together. And what this means is they're getting less experience now as a group by far. And if you can spread out a little bit, avoid getting a lot of isolated ganks, you can sort of get back into the game. Our experience, though, hasn't been that it's been that bad for us. Obviously, if you're playing off skill, you're going to get whatever you get. You know, we have had games in the office where one team clearly outclasses another, and it is 2 or 3 team fights, and then it's just, this is over. It's over in 10 minutes, but it's over. And we really want to make sure that that's not always the case, but it hasn't been our experience. The other thing we've seen, obviously, if a team falls behind in levels or loses a team fight or two, often taking an objective can be absolutely key. So I don't know for sure how to answer your question because we're still in the playtesting phase. All I can say is we've got some things to mitigate it, but also our experience has been that it hasn't been too bad in that respect.
Yeah, it really feels like the back and forth is always there. You're always a little behind, then you capture the final tribute, completely swings out of direction for a little while, then swings back the other way. So right now, as far as balance goes, it's feeling really good. You do get a lot of that back and forth, as long as there's skill parity in players.
If there's no skill parity, then God help you, right? Like at that point, it can go really badly very quickly.
Hi guys, I want to say thank you very much for this game. I'm very pumped up about it. My question is the next. The mechanics of the maps that you have developed seems very, very complicated. But I mean, because of the organizations between the teammates, are you planning to make easier form of communication between players, so to make a faster strategy or easier way to create a strategy? Because especially in the second map you show, going underneath the mine and that, it seems like it could get very complicated, and with a little hate that is in this kind of game, noob, don't go down to the mine, come up, Yeah,
I think it's totally something that we hear and we're concerned about. We do have some ideas, but I don't know exactly how they're going to shake out yet for how we can improve communication. Honestly, the best way to play this game is definitely to play it with friends. I think we're going to try to do everything we can to find ways to get you into groups with people that you know or are comfortable with, players that you've met online, players you played with in real life. We find that for this game, because there's so much team coordination required, that pickup groups are going to be a little bit more challenging. But having said that, we are going to do everything we can possibly think of to allow for more communication between your teammates, especially for the pickup groups where players don't always know each other that well.
I think the other thing to keep in mind here is the complexity that you're speaking about is an all-up game. This is all these maps available all at the same time right now. The natural evolution through the game, we have a lot of plans for how it unlocks to players, and so you're not going to be thrown into the deep end that way. You would have gone through a lot of experience to even get to the point where you're dealing with it. And to add on too, the maps, the way, at least from my experience with Battlegrounds, they're really pretty straightforward objectives. Go get coins, take them to this guy, or push on the fortifications. It's one or the other, and if you know nothing else, you can default to just pushing on enemy fortifications.
So, what was up with the Queen of Blade riding a wolf? Like, does that have a meaning? Like, I don't know, the wolf's gonna bring you loot or coins, or is that just for shit and giggles?
It's integral to the gameplay, I think, right? That Kerrigan rides the wolf.
She has to be on the wolf.
Try it today. Try it. You'll see. You'll totally just smoke them.
So one
Wolf
of the
is
things
the most powerful mount in the game,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, so
And
the mounts are valuable to us, and they allow players to group up as a team very efficiently and very, very quickly. And we really like these mounts in the game as a way to move around the battlefield and coordinate with your allies. And it creates some fun gameplay in terms of out-of-combat mobility versus in-combat mobility, because you can't really fight on your mount. In terms of the Queen of Blades, specifically on a wolf, Nexus.
Yeah, mostly it's just for fun. Like a lot of times, and I don't know if we're going to do this 100% across the board. So say that you're playing, Jim Raynor, his mount maybe as a default would be the Terran Vulture bike, right? But once you have that bike, we'd love it if your other heroes, if you want, could ride it too. Obviously, some of them might not be able to. Like, I don't know how Abathur would ride a motorcycle, right?
very well.
But, I also don't know how Jim Raynor would deep tunnel like Abathur. Maybe that's just a separate thing for Abathur. We keep that unique. But if we make a bunch of different mounts, it would be awesome if we could just combine them, with all the different heroes that are appropriate. So that screenshot was done because it looked cool. Thank you.
Hey guys, I got a question about individual playstyle in the games. Usually in these type of games, individual playstyle is really important to be able to carry your team or carry yourself out of a game that may be snowballing the wrong way. I'm curious, with everything being shared, are there any plans to allow individual players to show off their own skills and to be able to help their team progress further without having to share everything with the rest of their team?
There are a couple of opportunities. One of the things we do is we put in mechanics like the Dragon Knight, where you can go and be the one to capture the Dragon Knight, and then you are absolutely the destroyer of worlds. And the quality of the player in the Dragon Knight is significant. It's temporary, but it's meaningful. The other thing I would say too is generally, no. Generally, you can show off your skill, absolutely, and you'll be able to see how many solo kills you've had and how much you've contributed to the game, but you're not going to be able to get any sort of virtual skill where you are substantially ahead of everybody else, and everybody else has to sit here for 20 minutes while you one-shot the whole enemy team. That's not really what we're going for. And that's a cool way to play games, don't get me wrong. We love those kinds of games as well. But for this game, we really want to push and make a game that's about playing with your team, playing as a unit, win, lose, together. And that's what we're trying to accomplish.
I think actually some of the specialist heroes and support heroes have those moments, and I think we'll have to further accentuate that. But playing an Abathur and being super effective in that one example you gave there, those are those moments. They're not as stand out as the examples you gave there, but I think in our game that's the moments you want. You look back and go, wow, we won the game because of how you carried us with Abathur or whatever.
You'll see that with healers too. You'll see that all the time where you've got an amazing Uther, a ridiculously good Tassadar who's suddenly playing, and when this guy knows what he's doing because no one's dying. And he's keeping everybody on their feet for long periods of time. And then you'll see some very clever, players playing as, Zeratul or Nova, and they're using their cloak very, very effectively. So there's definitely moments when we play in the bullpen all the time, and I might not be the best player in the bullpen, but there's some guys who are really, really strong. Some of our balance designers are absolutely amazing at the game, and when you're going up against them that they're the better players. There's no question in my mind that the better players have the skill, they use the skill, and they can absolutely roll face on anybody who's not as good as they are.
Hey guys, I was just curious, who do you consider the core audience for this game? Like, why would I want to play this over other arena games?
I think the core audience for Heroes of the Storm is people who like Heroes of the Storm. We don't actually worry about that too much inside Blizzard. I know that seems crazy. We try to make the games that we want to play, the games that we think are cool, and we have faith and confidence that if we do something fun, that it will find an audience, that it will find a group of people who want to play it. So this game is, easier to play than other games in the genre, and it's also sometimes harder. And I don't know, we'll find people who dig what we're trying to do, we think, and we'll see where it goes.
All right, fellas, thank you so much for allowing me to debut this game. But I was curious, seeing as so far it's like a non-item involvement game, and it's basically based more upon how you build the champion, how the champions are based themselves. What are you doing to deter like the whole snowball effect and/or the counter laning effect that comes with MOBAs, where it's like this champion is always greater than this champion in a 1v1 matchup of some sorts? Also, second part of that question is now this is a tradition. What you're basing on is an objective-based MOBA, where it's not like the other ones where we have a lane phase. You've got like your whole meta is based upon your top lane, mid, support, jungles, this and that sorts. Would you be against making a map type of that sort to kind of cater to the ones of us who love the whole MOBA game type? And third part.
Whoa. Wait. I'm going to forget the first part.
Can I get a beta key?
No, I'm going to forget the first part. I've already lost the first question. Hold on. What was the first question? The first question was...
What are you doing to deter from the whole counter matchup, basically?
Yeah, so we haven't seen too much of that yet. One of the advantages we have, right, is with the ability of mounts to move rapidly between lanes, it's rare that you get into a situation where you're just stuck one-on-one and nobody can do anything about it. Since you're sharing team levels, everyone has a pretty vested interest in making sure that doesn't happen. So if we do have some of those problems, and you're right, we may very well, I don't know yet, we're not in beta, it's impossible to say. Right now, there's so much mobility on the map to shake that up. It's not really as much of a concern. You don't get into the scenario where if I don't win this one-on-one, I'm dead forever, and I've got to deal with it. It's not really the case. Like, dude, someone get me out. This guy's kicking my ass. I don't know if my hero's more powerful or if I just suck. Help me out here. And you're going to have people like, oh yeah, I can afford to do that. I can leave my lane because we're still getting experience points. I'm going to come up and we're going to punk this guy down and we're going to get on with our lives. So that hasn't happened to us too much yet, but we'll have to wait and see what ultimately happens when we go into beta. All right, so give me the second part again.
The second part was basically seeing how this is an objective-based map setup that you are going on right now.
All right, would we do a regular map?
Would you be?
Yeah, we've had the regular map. We played it for many years. We played it with 2 lanes. We played it with 4 lanes. We played it left to right, top to bottom. And we started inputting these new map mechanics in, and it was kind of weird around the office. Suddenly nobody was testing the other map. Like, nobody really wanted to play it. So the more and more we played, the more we felt that making it about these objectives and providing you with some new challenges every time you sat down to play with this wide variation of gameplay experience was the way this game wanted to go. There's other games that don't want that. This is what we needed. And so we found it was very, very effective, and it was something we really enjoyed.
Yeah, one thing I'll just add on to that is possible. We're talking right now, not something that we're going to see probably by launch of this, even by open beta, but we're talking about how customization is going to be exposed to players. So, down the line here, maybe players can create exactly that if that's what they want to play in.
Thank you guys for killing the old map. It runs around more customization. Will you guys give us any more hints? I saw skins that you guys talked about, mounts. Obviously, you guys are talking about changing the ultimate ability. Any more hints about customization, custom skills, all the way through? Anything?
Well, you can see a bunch in today. I know Sammy's got all kinds of evil plans when it comes to skins. They're absolutely diabolical. But when it comes to talent system, we've got a bunch of different abilities to modify the talents and the builds today. I think we'd like to continue building that out. I feel like where we're at right now is a good starting place. We'd like to try to find other ways to allow you to really customize these heroes. You know, when you're dealing with a hero like an Arthas or a Kerrigan, this is a hero that could easily have 20 different powers, but we've got to try to get them into one, 5-6 button combo at most, right? So we want to try to create that environment where we can do that and provide more and more talent customization, not only now, but maybe even years from now. Go back in and go, you know what? I think Kerrigan needs some more talents, and be able to add those into the system and really find ways to flesh that character out more. But there's a bunch of crazy stuff over there right now in the build that you can check out. There's, fire chains on Tyrael, and there's, fishing hooks on Stitches, all kinds of really crazy stuff. And I think there's more room for us to grow there, and we're definitely going to be working on that going forward.
Thank you, guys.
Ooh,
Hey, how's it going,
Ragnaros.
guys?
That's a good idea.
So I can see the depth and complexity. Absolutely, strategy is immense at high level. At the same time, with systems choices such as shared XP and objective-based mechanics, a lot of PvE content, where do you see Heroes fitting in the MOBA genre space as far as competitive play is concerned?
So do you mean esports?
So it doesn't necessarily have to mean esports, but I know you talked about matchmaking, and
Sure.
that sounds awesome, but I just kind of have to wonder, what is high-level play, and is there competitive level play
I
for
think
this
there
game?
absolutely is. We're seeing some insane competitive level play right now in Hearthstone, for example, right, which takes a very specific approach to the card game genre. In terms of esports, our strategy has always been, let's see what the community does. Let's provide the tools, provide the resources in the software for the community to build whatever they want to build. And if it works out, then we'll try to find a way to gently, carefully, don't screw it up, support our community in making something absolutely amazing. And so we're going to wait and see. We're right now just focused on making a great game, and then we'll see where it goes. We'll see where the community ultimately wants to take it.
Yeah, tomorrow, actually, Dustin is shoutcasting our designers playing. It's right after the deep dive, I think after one, it's like 2:15. Don't quote me on that, but it's somewhere in that guide. But you'll see high-level play. That's high-level play. That's a high-level competitive play. We've set the teams up roughly to be relatively even, and it's very competitive, and it goes back and forth. And so you can take a look at it and see what you think. We'd love to hear feedback if you think we're not hitting that note. But it's being able to be competitive at Heroes is a goal. Being an e-sport is something I think the community decides.
We're about out of time. This will be the last question.
So at last Blizzcon, you made a big deal about saying you got rid of boots and that towers would have ammunition, so you'd have to go in a lane and defend it. Is that still the case, or has that changed?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch it. It was about boots, and it was about...
At last BlizzCon, you said that boots were gone because that was a big thing in other MOBAs.
They're kind of gone. Boots are kind of gone. We've got some speed boosts that you can get on talents and some of the trees. General speed increases. We haven't played with too much, but we've snuck it in here and there on the heroes. We find it works very well on heroes in a specific talent tree environment. The whole question of boots kind of went away when we stopped dealing with a shop, and we made what was essentially a custom shop per hero in the form of the talent tree. And that kind of changed all the rules about what we could and could not do. What was the second part? Sorry, go ahead.
The second part was also, you had said that towers have ammunition, so you have to go in a lane to defend that, or otherwise it'll die. Is that still the case, or is that changed?
Yes, we still have ammunition in the game. It was in at BlizzCon. We took it out briefly. We missed it terribly, and we ended up putting it back in, and it makes a real difference to how the game plays. Any team, if they're not protecting their towns, they're going to bleed out, and those towns are going to get run over.
The last part, if I could everybody in here just yell, "For the storm"? That sounds pretty good. I like that one. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate you